Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the McDonCast, the only podcast in town, the funnest podcast around.
That's right, everybody. We're back.
We are hitting the skadoodle skedaddles. The content drought is officially over.
Kind of, not really. 25%
No, it's
over.
definitely over. They immediately as soon as this stuff happened, they announced a million things.
Well, so the WGA strike has now officially ended. Technically, okay, it hasn't officially ended.
It's officially ended.
The writers have returned to work. The final contract still needs to technically be
ratified.
ratified.
An hour before we started, that's it.
It technically needs to be ratified. It'll be ratified next week. But because the union has let them all go back to work, it means they're all on board with this, essentially. So the strike is over for the writers. Now, the actors are still on strike. SAG is still on strike, which means, and we'll talk about this later in the show, but movies that are still supposed to come out in the next few months, those can still be delayed because the main reason those were being delayed was that the actors weren't there to promote them. And the actors still can't promote them.
Do you think they'll have the writers go and promote stuff? Oh, and then...
camera crash.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Now, as awkward as it would be to have a bunch of awkward,
they should have the writers
closet-dwelling weirdos promoting the shows they've made, I'd say that's highly unlikely.
They'd probably be better at promoting it.
They'd be better at explaining it, but they are not as attractive as the actors are.
That's true.
Yep. You don't become a writer because you're pretty.
Unless you're a really pretty writer who's really bad at writing.
But let's name one. Name one good-looking writer.
I don't know that many writers. I'm sure one of them is attractive.
That's because you know why? Because if they were good-looking, they wouldn't be writers. And you know who they are.
You can't be a good-looking writer.
You can't. You're all ugly. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we got, of course... that we're going to talk more in depth about the strike, but we're also going to talk about some other news, including...
Yeah, let's give a brief rundown here. We got the strike news. We got Golden Globes news. We got DC Studios news. We got release dates shuffling around as always. And, of course, we have some trailers for stuff. Very cool.
We did not watch a movie this week again. The only wide release was Expendables.
Oh, we love Expendables.
Which is the lowest performing one in the series, which is a giant shock to absolutely no one.
Yeah, nope, that is not.
It's terrible and no one cares. But this upcoming week is a movie we will talk about on the next episode.
That's true.
But anyway, let's get right in.
Next week's movie?
The Creator.
Oh yeah, with the robot guys with the holes in their heads.
But we had some trailers this week. The first trailer was for Rick and Morty Season 7.
Get that pulled up
premiering
here.
On October 15th on Adult Swim, as always. This is the first season with the new voice actors for both Rick and Morty, as Justin Roiland was let go back in January. They haven't revealed who they are yet. They've just revealed what they sound like in this 1.5 minute trailer.
Yeah, so they did reveal their voices, but they have not yet revealed who the voices are.
Adult Swim says it so that the show speaks for itself, and there's not distractions over the voice actors, but that's gonna be anyway.
Okay, Morty sounds exactly the same. The Rick guy sounds very not nearly as raspy.
They sound similar. They sound pretty much the same.
Morty, I did not notice.
It won't take me out of it really much at all. That was a good sign.
For Rick, when I heard them side by side, I immediately noticed his voice is just very. It's not as exaggerated. It's not as energetic. Morty sounds exactly the same.
Rick, there's less like range in the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot has a baseline gruffness that that Roiland's doesn't have. And then Morty is a little bit lower pitch as well. It's not as it's a comically high pitched, but it's mostly the same.
Yeah, Morty I didn't really notice. What confused me about the Rick one though is there's so many people on YouTube, and we do know that they hired an impersonator to do it. There's so many impersonators that sound pretty much exactly the same. I don't know why they didn't get one of those guys. Maybe they wanted the voice to be a little different.
It probably is one of those guys. But what happens is one, you can hyper edit a YouTube video that's 30 seconds of you saying 3 lines, and get it about right. But when you actually have to like sit there and record like actual like episodes worth of dialogue
Yeah, it's a little
that is
different.
brand new that you haven't like practiced forever, that is where like the actual like uniqueness in the voice comes out.
Yeah, you gotta
like,
have a little bit more oomph.
If you remember that Netflix, Amazon Prime, that Netflix Transformers show from a few years ago that was like Rooster Teeth animated, that
there was a Netflix transfer.
yeah, if you it was like 3D, it was like the War for Cybertron
War for
thing.
Cybertron. That was the Rooster Chicken people.
Rooster Teeth, yeah, but that they hired a YouTube Optimus Prime impersonator for the Optimus Prime voice, and that he talked about in interviews like it is really easy to do that like YouTube impression, but doing all the dialogue and like having to do the inflections in the voice and like actually act with the voice is like a completely different thing. So I think that's probably why Rick and Morty are going to sound pretty much the same, but a little different. But other than that, the show looks honestly just as the same as it's always been.
Until I heard them side by side, I didn't really notice it. I literally forgot.
I think if you had just played that clip for me and I didn't know they were replaced, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have after like a couple episodes. I would have like noticed a little bit, but not at all.
It's like, you know how they changed the Darwin and Gumball voice actors like 3 times?
Yeah,
like you can't really tell. It's like that kind of
thing. But yeah, it looks like same old Rick and Morty. There was a little bit of other Rick and Morty news though. Dan Harmon did like a long form interview with the Hollywood Reporter that came out today.
Interesting.
And he talked about how they were having discussions before the writer's strike about doing a Rick and Morty movie.
They already said that they wanted to do that,
but it wouldn't be live action. It would be like, he says it would be like an extended episode, like a extended episode of the show. Now, I'm not sure how you would.
They said
up the scale of Rick and Morty.
They said really early. Well, you just put Rick in a situation where he's not a god. That's like the main problem with the show.
But the show does that at least once a season.
But they did say if the show ever got to 9 seasons, they would do a movie.
Yeah.
And we're approaching. This is season 7. We're getting close.
This will be so this is going to be 10 episodes this new season. This will be just over halfway through their 70 episode pickup order from a few years ago. And
they're definitely going to keep chugging along. I mean, this is Adult Swim's only new show, I'm pretty sure. They're only like they're one that's getting new episodes.
Oh, yeah, they have like 3 originals that are actually being produced over at Adult Swim.
As far as and Cartoon Network, didn't they recently just get like
Cartoon Network
or something?
They
closed down their studio.
No, they moved it. They closed down like the Cartoon Network studio and like and they just merged with like the rest of the.
Oh, so they just in like the Warner Animations building.
But the Cartoon Network recently like shrunk by like an hour.
Yeah,
they go off the air like an hour earlier now.
Cartoon Network's. I think Cartoon Network is gonna be done done forever here in the next couple of years.
Over here on like the Central Time Zone, because we live in Texas, they go off the air at like 4 o'clock now, which is crazy to me, because like that's when kids get home from school.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And are watching cartoons.
That's the time you want.
Why are you on at 2:30 in the afternoon when they're at school and not on when they're home? That's crazy to me. That doesn't make any sense. But you know, no one's watching cable TV. They're watching everything on streaming. Anyway, in terms of animated films, Wish, Disney's Thanksgiving animated feature, got its second trailer.
Oh, yeah, let me get that pulled up.
It looks I'm gonna be honest with you here.
It looks like Fortnite.
It does not look great visually nor story wise.
It literally looks like a Fortnite trailer.
It looks like a different Disney movie that hasn't finished rendering yet.
I don't know why it looks this way.
They were trying to go for like a storybook art style, but it is not working. It just looks like their regular art style, but with like way less detail. New iPhone.
Sorry, we're having some camera trouble, so we're pausing here, pausing off and on here.
Sam got the new iPhone and it's not working.
Not connecting the way I want it to. Anyway, it's connected now.
Why is
we got the trailer
going
Apple? Here. Yeah, Apple. Come on, push the whatever the update is. Fix it. Oh yeah, it might actually be the MacBook because I updated to macOS Sonoma. It might not be set up right.
Sonoma,
whatever the new macOS is. Anyway, yeah. So there's a king guy. He grants wishes. They live in a magic Disney castle.
It's Chris Pine.
This looks worse than Tangled.
I know it looks
like significantly worse.
And I know it's not intentional. I know they were trying to go for an art style, but it doesn't work.
This should have been 2D.
It should have been 2D. That would have been
2D.
Because this is supposed to be for like their 100th anniversary, like their grand celebration of the Disney studio, and it looks bad.
The backgrounds all look 2D.
A studio that has prided itself and is founded on its animation. It's 100th anniversary spectacular.
It looks like those like anime video games where like it's obviously a 3D model, but they put like a filter on it. Yeah, it looks like that. It doesn't look right.
And like in terms of the story, it looks fine.
Hang on, wait a minute. Might be.
And the songs sound fine.
I thought maybe there was a part. I thought maybe the animation style was going to change.
I don't know. Nothing about this really stood out to me. It just kind of seems like a lot of stuff we've seen a million times before. Villain is pretending to be good guy. Heroine sings song and has animal sidekick goofy talking friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not a lot of.
I'm not super
nothing to
impressed
really rouse me or really make me go, "Ooh, that's neat."
Honestly, I haven't really cared about a Disney princess movie probably since Frozen 1. And like Frozen 1 is actually good.
Well, like I like Disney and like I'm never excited for them. Like I like.
Yeah,
them
I'm not like I wasn't hyped, but like Frozen 1 surprised me. I was like, okay, this is like actually kind of cool. Then what was after that? Moana was like average.
It does, yeah. Moana's fine.
In the ocean. Then there was
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2, which
Frozen 2
was
was
just
not
worse
good.
than Frozen 1. I did not.
That
really
was
like
not
Frozen
a
2.
good experience. We saw that we saw it together, and Patrick was there, and we spent
we saw it with a group of people.
30 minutes afterwards, just tearing it apart in the hallway.
A massive dump on
yeah. I guess they did Encanto. Was that their last one? Was Encanto?
Encanto.
No, Strange World was their last one.
Oh well, yeah. No one remembers.
No one remembers that one. Yeah, the last time they've made a movie like Disney animation proper has that I'd say was really really good was Zootopia.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Which was 7 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know why that they've had so. I don't know why they've just been so lame lately.
They've been trying new stuff recently. It's just none of it's really worked. I know everyone loves Encanto, so I'm not going to crap too hard on Encanto. I like it more than some of the rest of these, but yeah, they've been trying a lot of new things, and not a lot of it's been working.
Yeah, it's been a little bit mixed.
And there was another trailer we were going to talk about today for Argyle. The new Henry Cavill spy film from
TV
Apple.
Plus one.
But it was supposed to drop today, and it's like 9 p.m. and it never did. So if it does, it's going to drop at like 11:45. At that point, why even say it's dropping today? It's really dropping the next day.
Yeah, it's just dumb. Just don't do what. Just drop it later.
Anyway, so we won't talk about that. If we run out of things to talk about, we'll talk about it next week. All right, some release dates are shuffling around. 3 minor ones early next year. Mean Girls, the musical, which I know Sam is particularly hyped for.
Yay.
Is releasing on January 12th of 2024. That was supposed to go to direct to Paramount Plus. That's now getting a theatrical release.
Isn't this Pitch Perfect?
What?
Mean Girls, but they sing. That's called Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect is about an a cappella group.
Yeah.
Mean Girls is about like high school drama.
Yeah, the only thing the a cappella group does is high school drama.
The a cappella group is like a bunch of like people in like their early 30s.
Yes, but they're going to nationals, and she's got a crush on the cute a cappella boy, and he's got a cute a cappella gang.
Sam has seen neither Mean Girls nor
I've seen
Pitch Perfect.
like half of Pitch Perfect, and I've seen clips from Mean Girls.
I've seen Mean Girls. It's pretty good. That's
my opinion. I've seen like
it's got a bunch of very famous people back in the early days of their
like
careers.
over the years. I have like absorbed most of Mean Girls just from like seeing clips of it and like walking in on people watching it, but not watching the whole thing.
I think it's worth a watch. It's a nice time capsule of the early 2000s.
Maybe I'll check it out on Max if I'm ever super bored.
This is probably going to do pretty well though, especially with theater kids, and if they can get one of these songs on the soundtrack to blow up on TikTok,
no.
Guaranteed money right there.
I don't want it.
Why?
It's gonna blow up on TikTok, like
It's
a
gonna
million
blow up.
%.
Yes.
There's no chance it doesn't blow up.
I just thought it was really funny. I was reading like so Mean Girls was a movie that Tina Fey wrote, which was based on like a parenting book she read, and then that was turned into a stage musical on Broadway, and then that was turned back into another movie. So this movie is Mean Girls the musical, based on Mean Girls the musical, which is based on Mean Girls, which is based on a parenting book. They've covered literally every possible. Next is television show, I guess, and then they've covered the whole spectrum.
It could become a like a short, like a stage play.
It already is a stage play.
No, but not musical. Though.
Not musical. Go back to
It's
the
a
original
regular stage
movie.
play.
Just do that on stage.
Yeah.
There you go. And then adapt that into a book.
Then
like,
we'd have
just
all
write
of
the
it.
play script and just publish that as a book.
Yeah, then we'd have the
and
whole
it goes
spectrum.
full circle.
Oh wait, no, they need a video game.
Put on pink
But
shirt.
which version?
It's a pink shirt. You have to put on a pink shirt.
Press
It's a
X
quick
to
time
wear
event.
pink on Wednesday. Or
Yeah,
whatever that
it's a
thing
quick
is.
time event. You have to like press the button really fast to put on the shirt.
Which version would they adapt into the video game?
It's like, oh, that's a good.
Because there's a million.
The Broadway play version of the musical.
So it like takes place on a stage. So it's the Princess Peach game, but with the Mean Girls.
You have to remember your lines in real time.
Alrighty.
Whenever your character's not on stage, you're just sitting in the back doing nothing.
So you only control one
And
of
then
the
you have to like
characters.
sit there, and when your cue comes up, go. Like you have to like. Yeah,
Press Y to know
This is
what
like
your
a really
line
dumb
is.
version of The Sims. Anyway, the untitled Smile sequel. Remember Smile?
Yeah, I wish I didn't.
All your friends saw Smile. That comes out on October 18th of 2024, right in time for Halloween. It's gonna be called Smiles. If it's not called Smiles, what are we doing here?
That movie had so much potential.
And just it wasn't good.
And just waste. No, honestly, it was good until the last like 20 minutes. And in the
got,
last
like-
20 minutes, they ruined the entire monster.
Well, the fact that there like was like just like a dumb like sprawling like
Yeah, that's what.
screaming monster was the
And then
problem.
she beats the monster, and then it's like,
And then she
no, actually, you die
because
anyway.
it's supposed to be like overcoming like your trauma.
But it turns out overcoming your trauma just
And then she
is
just
impossible,
can't, and
you
she
die.
dies.
You die anyway, no matter what. Depression will kill you.
And
Like,
it's
what is
like-
the point?
It's supposed to be like mental illness, and she just, even though she does everything right, she just succumbs to the mental illness.
She did everything right, and they still indicted her.
It was a perfect phone call.
I got over my trauma, and that monster still killed me. Unfair.
He was woke. It was the woke leftist monster.
The woke smiling monster.
I tried to build a wall around it, and it didn't work because of the left. Anyway, Bob Marley, One Love. The Bob Marley biopic.
Yeah, I keep forgetting.
That's
that
been
they're
pushed
making
back
this.
a month.
I keep
from
seeing the
January
trailer
12th
for
to February
this.
14th.
Every movie theater, they got the trailer for this one.
This will be really, really big with your grandpa.
Will it though?
It'll be somewhat big with your grandpa. He remembers Bob Marley.
Marley's not even like popping off anymore.
Yeah, that's because he's been dead for a long time.
No, but like they made the Queen.
He's been dead since 1981, Sam.
No, but like they made the Queen biopic, and like there's like Queen music is still popular.
Well,
And then they did like the Elvis one. Elvis music is still like played on the radio every once in a while. Like
okay.
name more than 3 Bob Marley songs.
Okay.
You
To
know
be
the
fair,
you know the
you're
one.
comparing him to like Elvis, who's like the most famous.
I'm comparing him
musician
to the
ever live.
other famous musician biopics that have come out recently.
But Queen was also like Queen's peak was more recent, and this was more like pop.
It was the 80s.
It was like pop, fun, rock and roll stuff. Bob Marley wasn't really doing that.
My point is like he's not had as much of a
No,
presence
his music has
lately.
not been like
it does
blasted
yeah.
on the radio on repeat for the past 35 years.
Like Elvis is older than Bob Marley is, and his music still plays every once
But
in
I
a
think
while.
there's also a reason this one is obviously not going to get like the insane budget and marketing push those last couple.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Like this isn't going to get the Bohemian Rhapsody.
But again,
Bohemian
I have seen,
Rhapsody made like $800 million at the global box office.
yeah, it was huge. But like that's what I'm saying is like I've seen the trailer for this, in every movie we've gone to see in the last like maybe 2 months or so.
I've seen no negative reactions to it, but I have not seen anyone with any
no
particular
reactions
interest
to
in
it.
it.
I just haven't seen any reactions.
Bohemian
to
Rhapsody made almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like Queen is huge.
That's
Elvis is big and
nuts.
huge.
Especially since it was directed
What's
by
the
a sex
other? There was
criminal.
another one I feel. Yeah, what Rocket Man? Didn't that? Wasn't
Yeah,
that, recent?
that one wasn't as big, but
But
that
still
was
big.
Like, that's Elton John.
Yeah,
He was still touring with them.
I would say Elton John's is probably the closest.
Elton John
in
is the
terms
only
of
one of those people
scale.
who's still alive.
I thought some of the Queen people were still alive.
Oh, the rest of Queen is still alive.
yeah, just
Freddie Mercury's
Freddie
not.
Mercury's dead.
They replaced him with younger, cooler,
With Medi Mercury.
somewhat sound-alike guy. What's his name? Adam Lambert or
I
something?
don't know.
He's been touring with Queen for like 15 years, but they refuse to call him a member of the band. It's kind of sad.
Wait, how long was Freddie Mercury touring with them?
Well,
Has
he
the-
was in. He was
My
actually
point is,
in
has the new guy?
yeah, no,
been,
he was not even one of the founding. Remember, he joined the band after they were
Has the new guy been touring with them for longer
than Freddie Mercury was? I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I don't have time for that now.
Anyway, what's
I'm sure
next?
music
Oh,
nerds
Bob
know.
Marley got pushed back
Yeah,
to January
like a
12th.
month. No,
Or
from
to February.
to
To
Jebuary.
February 14th
we should have
from January.
we should have a
12th.
holiday called Jebuary where we celebrate Jeb Bush.
Yeah, Bushy-wary.
Anyway, so some DC Studios update. As is the norm, James Gunn got back on social media and started replying
He's
to people.
been saying stuff.
So here's how,
This segment should just be called James Gunn Says Stuff.
and we have to.
And we have to
Translate.
talk about it.
Okay. So he said that only 3 characters from the DCEU are guaranteed to be returning to play their roles in the DCU. He said that's John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and Zola Maraduena as Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
He clarified this after rumors that Gal Gadot would be coming back to play Wonder Woman. So this is true, but also false at the same time. Way more people than this are going to come back. But yes,
Probably.
all of these people will
These 3
return.
will for sure come back. But we already knew that.
Okay.
That was never.
Like-
it was never in question if these 3. We knew
It was
these
the
were the
other
only
people,
3
James.
that we knew for sure. It's every single other person.
He
we
does
were
know he's going to
concerned
have
about.
to answer that question at some point, right?
One day he's gonna have to make a movie with some
Like,
people in it, and he's gonna have to have a guy.
He's going to have to make a movie with Aquaman or The Flash or Wonder Woman in it. And he's going to have to announce whether or not it's going to be those same people.
Yeah, this is not good.
You can't be just like peeking out from behind the curtain forever. Eventually you got to put on a show.
I will say though, this is a very weird position to be in. Like Marvel was never in this position. There was never a who's gonna play the Hulk in the Avengers, who's gonna play the Thor. Like they just made movies, and whoever the guy was who the guy was. There wasn't really like a who's gonna be Doctor Strange. Like they just did it.
Yeah, it's a particular thing with comic book movies where like
No, but it's
recasting
just DC.
the roles is so common. But like even if you think of like any other franchise, like if like they do another Star Wars, like they're never going to recast Luke. It's just always Mark Hamill or his CGI freakish
CGI
clone.
face, man. Yeah.
Like that guy is just that role, and then when he's not around anymore, the role just stops showing up.
Mhm.
Like with comic book movies, it's like every 15 minutes, either some horrible off-screen or on-screen thing happens that causes them to recast the role.
But like Marvel has only ever recast like 3 characters, I think.
Hulk, Rhodey, Stature, yes. I think that's it.
I think no, Thunderbolt Ross was recast, but that's 'cause
yeah,
he died.
he will be recast in. So that's
So
like
4, and one of those is because one of them died. So really
4 for
3.
now.
3 were actually like full on recast.
4 until they do a reboot and they need to bring in new, cool, hip and young Iron Man,
Yeah.
and they get Robert Downey Jr.'s grandson. I don't know.
We'll get there when we get there, I guess. But yeah, it is like that. It is just a little strange. Like it's something we don't see with Marvel. For some reason, we don't see it with Marvel. We don't really see it with Star Wars because it doesn't really happen very often.
Star
if
Wars
it's ever
doesn't
happened.
have
I don't think Star Wars ever recast a human actor.
I mean,
Like there are alien characters that have been recast because
yeah, there's
they
like
just
guys in
stick
costumes
a new
that have
head
been
on.
switched
They put
out.
the head on a different guy. But I don't think they've ever recast a human
I mean,
actor.
Han Solo, I guess, was technically recast.
But that was a different version.
But that
of
was
Han
like a
Solo.
younger version of the character. No, I don't think they've ever like just straight up like switched someone out.
Yeah.
Like another actor. Anyway, he also clarified that the DC shared universe story will come second to making sure that each film works on its own and has a strong focus on character.
Good.
Sure. Creature Commandos and to a larger extent Superman Legacy are the true beginning of the DCU, he says.
Yes, we also knew that. Thank you. He's just saying a lot of stuff we already know.
Yeah, he's just because people ask him the same 15 questions every single day. They're like, "Is Snyder coming back?
No.
Is Henry Cavill gonna
Snyder
be
is
Superman?"
never coming back. Go home. He's gone.
No, Sam.
Dead. Stop.
Sam, when am I supposed to make my entire online personality if it can't be tweeting about Zack Snyder?
Pick a
15 times
different
day?
guy. Pick a different director. One who makes movies that aren't
True.
bad.
Become like Paul Thomas Anderson's like biggest fan.
Like, okay, Snyder has made like a couple good movies, but most, no offense to Zack Snyder, but most of his movies, personally, I think are bad. Pick a different guy. Why are you obsessed
But they love
with
him.
this guy?
Because I don't know. Well, one, it's attention. That's number one.
But it doesn't even get attention. Like, not anymore. It did like in like 2017. But like nowadays, if you're doing that, you're just like a
I don't
weirdo.
know. The whole online DC fan base is just like this cancerous cell that just is constantly eating at itself and like trying to get out and infect other communities, and everyone has just like decided to ignore it. Like it's so like poisonous to just mention DC.
The sad thing is, it's like it didn't have to be like this. If DC
Nope.
was coherent in the slightest, it wouldn't be like this.
it's also somewhat the
because-
fans' fault.
Because, well, okay, they've made so many different projects that all take place in the same universe and different universes at the same time, which means every fan has a different favorite universe and favorite thing, and they all compete with each other, and they all coexist. And so it creates this mess of contradictory stories that leaves the fan base eating itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they still exist. So, like, nothing's going to stop. So they're just eating themselves all the time. And everyone just has to be around them. And they're like, this is weird and gross. What's going on over there?
Now,
Stop
it's
that.
more interesting than the Marvel fans, which are
The Marvel fans just are like
either
seals.
sick of Marvel or sycophantically are in love with everything Kevin Feige says.
Marvel fans are like,
and like throws in his garbage.
what's a good metaphor? They're like kids who like Legos. They don't care if the Lego set good.
Like grandma,
They're like, I like Lego sets, and
I'll
I
build
want
the
more
Lego
Lego sets,
set,
and I will
yes.
always want more Lego sets, no matter how good the Lego sets is.
DC fans want Lego DC sets, and if anyone even mentions another type of Lego set, they'll freak out.
And they
Don't you get that Playmobil near me? Anyway, so Warner Brothers is also investing in an expansion of its UK Leviston studios that will extend its capacity by 50%. It's going to add several new sound stages and bring a bunch of new jobs to the area. They're saying that's going to be like the home of DCU productions, beginning in 2027
And where?
in the UK, in London.
That's a choice.
They're going to shoot all. That's where they shot Barbie and all the Harry Potter stuff was shot over there.
Well, I know Harry Potter shot over there.
Yeah, obviously. Superman Legacy is still on pace to begin filming in spring of next year, according to Gunn. That is assuming that the SAG strike is over by like early
That'll
winter.
probably be over here in
probably
the
be
next
over.
month or so. At the
I'd
very
say
latest.
SAG is gonna get a deal done pretty fast, mostly just because now they have the WGA deal as basis for like some stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of like having access to streaming numbers and AI protections. That's like that will now be used as kind of like the baseline deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, what the actors want and what the writers want is very different in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like some areas that now have like precedent where before nothing had precedent.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with DC. Can't wait for when this implodes in 2 years again.
Yep.
You know,
And it will.
the greatest movie that'll ever come out of DC is the inevitable documentary about its implosion.
That is probably true. But make no mistake, guys. This will happen again, and it will happen again, and it will happen again. And it will happen again until the studios replace everyone with AI, and that will be the death of media.
Then we'll finally get a break, though. We'll just strap on our Apple Vision Pros and have
we'll
our
live in the Snyder
state-sponsored
world.
capitalist propaganda beamed into our brains.
Well, I mean, that's like what everyone enjoys.
Directly beamed into our brains, like with the headset.
You won't even get to enjoy the Marvel movie over it. It's
no,
just the
they'll
propaganda
just shoot the government propaganda right into our brains.
It's so lame.
What do you mean that's lame? You'll enjoy it because they'll put like weird chemicals in it to make you enjoy it.
Okay, this is getting in a place. My point is,
did
AI
you see that?
Will eventually consume the media landscape.
Did you see that? Like Chicago built to like a RoboCop, like not like a but like a robot police drone that like.
Oh, the little
around.
dog.
No, it's like a cone-shaped thing.
Oh yeah, the anti-homeless cone robot. Yeah, so what that does is it rolls around, and this is insane. And it came out a while ago. I think they like have since recalled them because they were ineffective because they kept getting destroyed. But basically, they would send a robot into a homeless encampment, and it would just blare noise until they leave.
That's amazing.
They spent millions, potentially billions, investing in a system to annoy homeless people instead of helping them.
I like how the plan is just to get them out of that one spot. Like they won't move to like whatever the nearest spot
dude,
is.
where do you think they're gonna go?
You're not solving a problem.
They're just gonna move around.
That's like trying to get people to leave your house by like just going into the room they're in and making a big mess and expecting them not to just go into the next room.
If you couldn't leave, like you can't, like all the doors and windows are cemented shut, and you want them out of your house. So you just go around and you start yelling at them.
Start yelling.
They leave,
and then they destroy the robot for obvious reasons.
Yes, and New York had a similar thing. They had it was called Spot, but it was the Boston Dynamics robot dog. But yeah, same thing happened. It kept getting beat up and destroyed, so they recalled it, and then they have since redeployed it silently without announcing it.
What they need to do is make it look really, really cute.
And actually, over Labor Day weekend, the NYPD deployed a new unit of drones that they were using to like surveil people in their like barbecues.
What is the point? Why? What are you gonna catch them doing?
Crimes.
In their backyard?
Uh-huh. So the government has drones that they are using to spy on you so they can accuse you of crimes. That is real.
I like how
that's a real.
We're constantly making like films and TV shows and writing books about like various ways that in a dystopian authoritarian future can use technology, and then the government will be like, "Hey, we should try that out."
What if we do that?
Let's build a RoboCop. That was great.
That's the worst.
It worked so well. Anyway, speaking of bad ideas, the Golden Globes has added 2 new awards to its failing, dying, pointless awards show.
Yay.
The Hollywood Foreign Critics Association, which is the people that do the Golden Globes. If you're asking who is the Hollywood Foreign Critics Association,
so are they. Don't know either.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Just us.
Maybe it's us.
It's just the two of us. We come up with all the awards.
Maybe someone's just been like writing down our opinions and like submitting them as like award categories this whole time.
That's entirely possible.
Anyway, they announced that they would be adding these 2 new award categories to its January 7th, 2024 broadcast. It'll be the 81st Golden Globe Awards.
Yay.
The first of these new categories is Best Performance in a Stand-Up Comedy Special. It'll recognize a performance in stand-up comedy of a special that is at least 30 minutes long and released on a quote-unquote recognized media platform.
So just not YouTube.
It can't be YouTube or TikTok. It has to be
anywhere that is
else.
not YouTube.
Yes. It can be on Tubi. It can be on Philo. It can be on
YouTube.
Fubo. It can be on Sling. It just can't be on YouTube. You know, because no one uses YouTube.
Yeah, that's some weird kind of wacko would upload a thing on.
It's because the old people still don't know what YouTube is. Even though it's been around
Even though
for
they know what
almost
Netflix
20
is,
years.
it's like basically the same.
Netflix is... Well, no, it's not. I guess streaming on Netflix is newer than
In
YouTube
terms
is.
of you go onto the Red app, pick a square, and it plays a video.
Mm-hmm. But Sam, you can edit a YouTube video.
Are you telling me TV shows are not edited? What are you saying?
I'm arguing for the 78-year-old man who told them I don't want to have to watch YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, no, I understand. I do understand this, like, because if you did every single YouTube special, it's like a billion.
It's a billion.
Yeah, that would never ever.
That way they can
end.
narrow it down to like those 8 ones on Netflix.
Yeah, that way it's just like the comedians like the ones that are on every talk show.
The second category will be best. This one's pretty dumb. The Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award. It'll have 8 nominees from the year's highest grossing or most viewed films across theatrical and streaming. Streaming is included on this one. In order to qualify, a film must have a global box office gross of over 150 million, with at least 100 million coming from domestic gross, and or obtain strong streaming viewership recognized by trusted media sources.
Wouldn't you just know if you won or not?
See,
if your number's the highest, you win. It's not like best art, best makeup, because like you could debate that. It's not like best picture, because you could debate that. It's like highest number. The highest number wins.
See, you think that it's the highest grossing movie award. It is the best movie out of the certain highest grossing movies award.
That's not a real.
So remember a few years ago when the Oscars tried to do a popular Oscar best popular film award?
Yeah.
Everyone got mad. They're just doing that, but no one cares because it's the Golden Globes and not the Oscars.
But okay, when they did the like best blockbuster, whatever that thing was, like they didn't say what was qualifying. Like this guy, they gave qualifying.
This guy gave
details.
like a number for what counts.
My question is like, again, this is like a quantifiable award. Like you could measure this with a number.
What makes no sense to me, is the Oscars has Best Picture, right? Best Picture has 10 nominees, right?
Yeah.
The Golden Globes already split the Best Film category into 2 separate categories. They already do Best Drama and then Best Musical or Comedy. So they already split it. So this is kind of splitting it again, but not really. And that they're now going to pick between the Best Drama Film, Best Comedy Film, and then Best Movie that wasn't good enough to warrant the other 2 lists. But people watch this one more than the other ones, so it's the best of those.
The main one is going to sweep.
It's a way that they can nominate the Super Mario Brothers movie to try to desperately increase viewership of the awards.
Yeah.
If we nominate Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, will you care?
No. No, in fact, I will not.
The general audience will never care about award shows again.
I don't think they ever did to begin with.
I don't think they ever did, really. I think viewership was obviously higher 30 years ago, but I feel like that's just because more people watched television generally.
Okay.
And it was on at
Celebrities
that point.
Used to be inaccessible. It used to be rare that you
that
saw
was
them.
The appeal of watching award shows.
It used to be rare that you saw them outside of movies.
Now you see them everywhere constantly,
now
whether
every
you like it or not.
celebrity has an Instagram account, and you know what they had for breakfast every day. So the appeal of seeing a bunch of celebrities in a place is not interesting
I can't
anymore.
even go.
The novelty's gone.
I can't even go on NFL.com without hearing about Taylor Swift at this point.
Did you see that? Like her presence, destroyed a football game.
Yes.
And they didn't interview
I'm
any of the
already
football
sick
players about the
hearing
game.
about it. I don't care. They're
just
gonna
like how
break up in 3 months. I don't care.
There was a
Or like 3 weeks probably.
Oh, I'm not talking about the guy she's dating. But there was a news media. It was like Vice or like one of those like news groups. But they have a Taylor Swift liaison. Like they have a news person dedicated specifically just to Taylor Swift.
Crazy, man.
There's like actual news happening. Like news is happening in the world. Like there's politics going on.
This person is getting
There's scary stuff out there. And they're like, no, we need someone dedicated to what Taylor Swift is eating
what
for
this
lunch.
Random woman ate for lunch today.
What kind of shoes is she wearing right now? We need to know. No, actually, no one needs to. I don't need to know that, actually.
Okay.
No hate to Taylor Swift. I just don't care
No
about what
hate,
she's doing.
but I
ever.
don't get the sycophantic obsession. Like, she's not doing anything new or like revolutionary.
I can't believe
Like,
you said that.
I get Beatlemania in the 60s because it was like rock and roll for the first time for like a mass audience.
Yeah, she's just been re-released. She's not even
She's
making
just
new music.
doing pop
She
music.
just re-releases the music she already
No, she's
made.
like she's not like making a dramatic breakthrough in the genre or like bursting onto the scene. No, she's been around since like 2006. Probably even before that. I don't even know when her first album came out.
That's what confuses me is why is she more popular
Why
now
now?
than ever?
I don't get why it's happening
What's
now.
going on? Why now? Like, okay, in 2006, sure, she was popping off.
Yeah.
She was blowing up. Now? Why? She's been around. We know who she is.
Yeah, her first album came out in 2006. I mean, that's 17 years ago.
Don't know. I don't get it.
And
anyway,
like, because she originally did country music and then she like transitioned to pop, but even that was like 7 years ago. So she's just doing the same thing she's been doing for like a decade. But then I feel like in the past 2 years, she's just exploded for absolutely no reason.
is it COVID related?
Is it COVID related?
If so, what do we do?
Like what? But
Have you
why
seen
is
that?
why?
Have you seen that?
But why her, and not someone else? Like what is it about her? I don't get it.
I don't know. Do you know what clip?
Someone
you know Howie
explain it to
Mandel
me.
from Howie Mandel.
Yeah, I'm aware of Howie Mandel.
Remember when he posted like a prolapsed anus on his TikTok by accident? Did you see that?
Was this recently?
No, this was a little while ago. But
Why are you bringing this up?
well, because I said, "Is this COVID related?" and what do we do about it? Because he Googled like gross pictures, found what he didn't realize was a prolapsed anus. Was like, "Hey, this happened to my friend Neil. Is this COVID related? And what do we do about it?" And everyone was like, "Dude, you just posted a prolapsed anus on TikTok."
It's great.
And so now, like, anytime he
Are you
posts,
sure he didn't do that intentionally as a joke?
no, because he went on, he did like interviews, and he was like, he was scared. He thought he was like canceled. And like, now anytime he posts anything, the comments are always like, "Is this COVID related?"
So what do we do about it?
Anyway, what's next?
If anyone listening to this can explain to me in the YouTube comments or in real life
What's going on
what's
with Taylor
going on
Swift?
with Taylor Swift, that would be much helpful.
Like, if she started dating like a super famous,
no, she's more famous than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't get it. She's not.
I-
She hasn't been in like the only recent movie she's done is Cats. That no one cared about that.
That should have killed her career, quite honestly.
How is it that she was in Cats and got more famous afterwards?
It's a miss. Did she like make a deal with Satan?
She must have made a deal with what is the bad cat? What's the evil one? Cat?
Skimbleshanks? No,
No, Skimbleshanks
was
was the railway cat.
Taylor Swift was evil in the movie.
Yeah, but she was working for the evil cat.
She was working for Idris Elba.
Spooky McPoofy Elba cat.
Let's see. What is Idris Elba? I gotta go to the
Spooky McPoofy,
Wikipedia.
because he was spooky and he would poof. people.
McCavity the Mystery Cat.
Yeah, maybe she made a deal with McCavity the mystery cat.
I love these names. Victoria, Old Deuteronomy,
Old dude. That just doesn't. That's
McCavity.
not even a name.
Grisabel, Mr. Mistopheles, Munkenstrap,
Maybe were these
Jenny Annie Dots.
were those famous cat names in like whenever this was being written?
Bustopher Jones?
Bustopher Jones. We need to write a movie about a guy named Bustopher Jones.
You can't. It's already trademarked.
Is it though? Like
It's
if someone
cats.
if someone stole the IP for Bustopher Jones, would they really be that upset? His name's Bustopher Jones. All right, what's next? We've been sidetracked here for a minute.
Oh, by the
Where
way,
were we?
so
Golden
the Golden
Globes?
Globes are going to be broadcast in February. In January, despite being dropped by NBC last year
Oh no!
and receiving rejections from pretty much every major and minor broadcast network and streamer. They literally do not know where they're going to air in 3 months.
Yeah, that's
Because they got
really
canceled
weird.
a few years ago. We talked about it on the podcast back when it happened, but they got canceled, and then they've just been in like recovery mode ever since. They had to like fire everybody.
Honestly, you know what? I don't even think that because okay, let's be like one let's keep it a buck here. No one cared. That was actually not the issue. No one actually cared about that. They just don't care about the Golden Globes. Like, they just actually don't want to watch it. Like, it's just not fun to watch. Because, like, if that happened, but the Golden Globes popped off and was, like, a super crazy and it, like, blew up everywhere, people would have watched it anyway. That issue was not, like, something people care about.
because award shows are not super... They're, like...
It's because they're boring.
They're 4 hours. They're a bunch of people who are millionaires who are dressed in their fancy outfits by other people, and then they sit in a theater for 4 hours and listen to a guy give them awards for the work they've done.
People don't watch this for the same reason they don't watch golf. Golf has a lot of the same problems. It's not a very diverse sport, except for, you know, the one famous Tiger Woods.
The most famous one.
But name one other golfer. Exact. Yeah. Okay. So that's an outlier. But like, it's got the same problem. Like, nobody cares really about golf because it's boring.
Happy Gilmore.
It's not because if you go look at the NFL's popping off because it's exciting to watch. If they made the Golden Globes more like the NFL, people would watch. I guarantee it. Doesn't matter what their racial makeup is.
You know what the difference is, though?
Nothing happens at
one
the Golden
has
Globes.
Points and people hitting each other at high speeds, and one has
Okay, but why can't we do that at the Golden
Ian
Globes?
McKellen slowly walking on stage to talk about makeup.
I have a brilliant plan. Here's what we do. New idea. If you get
get
nominated for a Golden Globe,
McKellen.
we put you in a bus strapped to a hot air balloon.
Okay.
We send you onto an island with 100 of the other people who were nominated for awards.
This is turning
and then
into
we
Fortnite.
watch them fight each other.
This is Fortnite.
But that sounds more fun to watch than the Golden Globes, doesn't it?
But what do they win the Golden Globe?
Yeah, you win the Golden Globe if you beat up
For best
everyone
movie.
else.
For best movie, you win.
Yeah.
Everyone would just never have a good performance again, just so they don't have to participate in the Golden Globe.
That's fine. at least the ones who do participate would be down with it.
Anyway, so let's move on to the big story of the week. The whole reason we're recording this episode in the first place. The WGA strike has officially ended after 148 days. Second longest strike in the history of the WGA, by like a week. It's like really
it
close.
was like right up there.
Like, I think if it had gone into like next week, it would have become the longest strike
ever that union has ever had.
So 11,500 members can now return to pitching, selling, taking meetings, responding to notes, and going back to writers' rooms. Again, the WGA, like, broadly, all the members have to ratify the new contract sometime in the next week and a half. That's going to happen. It's a pretty good deal, and they've been out of work since May, summer long.
They've been gone for a minute.
So the deal was really hammered out over the course of 4 days after continued and lengthy negotiations between WGA negotiators and AMPTP studio heads. People like Bob Iger, David Zaslav, Ted Sarandos were all present in the meeting rooms for multiple days. The deal was approved. They nailed out the deal on Sunday. It was approved by the WGA East and West divisions on Monday. Strike officially ended Wednesday morning, really Tuesday night. Late night talk shows. So your Seth Meyerses and your Jimmy Fallons and
your Jimmys,
your
all
Stevens
the Jimmys.
and your...
How many Jimmys are there's just two
There's
Jimmys,
just
right?
two.
That's still a lot. That's
They're
still
dropping.
kind of weird.
We're losing late night hosts. James Corden's gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, Samantha Bee is gone.
Oh no. Oh jeez.
The best one is gone.
Who's that?
Conan is gone.
Yeah, but he was gone before this happened.
That's true.
He's doing his own show. Like, he's still doing the same thing. He's just doing it somewhere else.
That's true. It's better than probably watching Steve basis. Anyway, so those will be back to work.
My favorite thing about
this
this
will be back next week
is Bill Maher and what's her name? Like
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
Did all that controversy.
Went through all that,
and they
did
just
all
waited
that.
Like 3 days.
If they had just waited a week, it would have been not a problem.
Yep.
They drug their names through the mud for like an extra 1 week.
It's not like
worth
Bill
of
Maher
work.
doesn't regularly drag his own name through mud on a regular basis.
No, but like that will have like consequences. Like, people will refuse to go on his show because of that. Like, his other stuff, no one really cares about.
No one won't. Everyone who's going to do Bill Maher is still going to do Bill Maher.
That's probably true, but you get what
you know why he has a show on HBO? He used to have a show on ABC back in the early 2000s. And then 9/11 happened. And then a week after 9/11, you know what he said on his show?
What?
That America deserved 9/11. And then he was
All
fired
right.
the next day.
Yeah, that seems like that's
Bill
what
Maher has
happened.
never been a non-controversial figure. Anyway,
Very
so yeah,
cool.
your late nights and your talk shows, those will all be back up as early as next week on Monday. Bill Maher's show is even going to be back this Friday night, so get hyped.
Yay.
SNL.
I can't wait to hear him complain about how he has to pay his writers now.
I can't wait to hear him complain that those darn actors are too greedy.
Them dang actors wanting not to starve.
Mm-hmm.
God dang it. What is this? This used to be America.
If you like your job, you should not get paid.
Most reasonable boss.
What a fun philosophy to live your life behind.
If you like your job, you should hate living.
If I don't hate myself, I shouldn't deserve to get paid. Anyway, SNL, which normally has its season premiere around this time, that's going to be a slightly further delay. Obviously, the SAG strike is interfering with a lot of what they do. I think technically they can still do SNL.
I think they
performers
already said it was coming back.
can still technically do it, but they're having trouble because normally when they would like switch out cast members on a yearly basis, they can't like re-sign any people as like featured players or like let people go because of the strike. So that's the main thing holding them back. Also, it's hard to find hosts when you can't get any actors.
I think
which is like 98% of their hosts.
SNL already has stuff like in the works.
They'll be back up and writing.
Yeah.
The question is just like when they'll actually get back to like doing the show.
I feel like SNL will recover. This is not SNL's first.
They'll be back as soon as
before.
SAG strikes a deal. They will be back before
They'll be back
every
in
other
full
scripted
swing.
show. Obviously, the SAG after strike has still having an effect on most things. Well, TV shows can still get back to writing. They can't shoot until the actors are back.
Yeah, you need actors to shoot things.
Yeah, so the main reason
did you see I don't know if this is here, but House of the Dragon season 2 finished.
Yeah,
shooting.
I have a note later in the thing about that. So the whole reason that this deal was struck when it was, there was a real crunch to get it done around this week.
Yeah.
Because pretty much on October 1st was like the deadline for, if there is not a deal here, they're going to lose the entire 2023 to 2024 TV season.
And they need that.
And that's a bad thing for a lot of people if that doesn't happen completely.
You're telling me we need to pay the guys who make stuff to make stuff? God, jeez, what? What? Huh?
Can we have Jerry use ChatGPT?
Jerry, does ChatGPT know how to write community? No? Dang it. Back to the drawing
I bet you
board.
could have written some of these like your 911s and
Oh,
your
100 million%. Yeah.
Anyway, so most of the stuff that would have premiered on the fall network TV schedule is now going to probably premiere in like mid-spring at the very earliest. Because not only do you have the problem of they've now been on strike for a long time and they can't shoot, but they also have the problem of we're getting into the holidays, and that's when like there's just so many breaks and like long periods of time where they can't shoot.
Yeah.
Where it just kind of messes everything up.
Because everyone goes on vacation. Like, that's why The Flash always takes like a million years to finish.
Well, every show
they go on 13 vacations during the holiday season.
So now that the strike is over, studios are rushing to fast track certain high profile projects. Among these,
oh man, you know what's a shame?
What's that, Sam?
The Flash finished before all of this. Could you imagine
if it got delayed?
How much worse because the ending was already bad. Like, we only watched it because we wanted to see how bad it was. So could you imagine how bad it could have been if all this had also been going on? That would have been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It would have reached new heights. Shame. What we could have had. What might have been.
We probably wouldn't have watched it, honestly.
Well, we watched the finale.
If I would have had to wait even longer for more of The Flash, I just would have. That's when I would have dropped it.
No, you would not have. There is in all of the multiverses, you always finish The Flash.
I've always seen every episode of The Flash. Paramount is hoping to finish fine tuning on scripts for its theatrical reboot of Star Trek. They're gonna try to do another Star Trek movie. They cannot for the life. You know, it's kind of funny that this and like Star Trek and Star Wars are so intertwined with each other. Both of these franchises just cannot for the life of them put a movie together.
Yeah. I haven't...
Star Trek, it's been even longer than Star Wars.
Yeah, because I think Beyond
was
Trek,
like 7 years ago.
Yeah, Beyond the Star
like
Trek verse was the last one.
Yeah.
And that was forever ago. I saw that in theaters like a billion years ago.
You saw that one?
Yeah,
I
in
think
3D.
that's the only one you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the only Star Trek movie I have seen beginning to end.
That one's the best of those 3.
Because I saw it for one of my friends in Scouts, his birthday. I saw it for Chris's birthday. So we saw Star Trek Beyond. We saw it in 3D.
Yeah, it's been...
I have to see Spock's ears in 3D.
It's been a long time since they've done one of those. Obviously, Star Wars, it's more recent, but Star Wars, it's for a lot dumber reasons. Star Trek, it's like they can't pick a script.
They just can't be
Star
bothered.
Wars, they just fire everybody who has like a unique idea or wants to try something. There was a report that came out this past week that Guillermo del Toro was supposed to do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, about Jabba the Hutt.
It was supposed to be like a Goodfellas like esque crime family thing.
I don't even Okay, I'm gonna be real. I don't see that existing. How does Jabba?
Neither did Kathleen Kennedy.
How does Jabba do anything?
He sends other people to do it. Maybe it was before he got fat.
When was he? They're always fat.
Jabba, buff, young, cool, hip Jabba.
Actually, yeah, there was a ripped.
Played by Timothy Chalamet.
There was a ripped. A ripped Hutt who was a Jedi. He legit has a 6-pack. Look it up. There's
I'm not looking.
Look up.
I'm not looking up sexy buff.
No.
Hutt.
Just look up Hutt Jedi. There's only one. He'll come up, and he's like the only two like notable pictures of him is like one in his Jedi robe, and then one where he's like like shredded. It just looks so funny.
Why is he so big?
That's what I'm saying.
He's the size of a
absolutely cut.
What am I looking at right now?
He's just the most powerful Jedi. He's shredded.
Okay. So they're also want to start working on their Rainbow Six film based on the
that'll never
Tom
happen.
Clancy novel.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
That's gonna happen. Are you kidding me?
No, that will never.
That's
happen.
not gonna come out in theaters.
Actually, okay,
that has direct to Amazon Prime Videos.
Yeah, this will happen, but it will be nothing. Like
no,
it will not.
It'll be like
it will exist, but it won't be real.
It'll be like a random like.
Your grandpa will watch.
It'll be like Zachary Levi stars in the Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
movie.
Grandpa will watch this, and
your
he will
dad
think it's
will
cool.
tell you about how good it is, and you'll be like, yeah, "I'm sure, yep."
Just like with the other Tom Clancy Amazon Prime thing.
Without Remorse, Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan. That's one.
Reacher,
which I'm pretty sure is the same exact
That's
thing.
not. These aren't Tom Clancy. These are just like those. You know what?
The ones.
The type of show your dad likes.
You know, it's the books that you see where the author's name's real big and the title of the book's real small,
and then the actual author's name is much smaller
and
on the bottom.
The cover of the book is like
an airplane.
warship or an airplane.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the book at all.
And it's got a title like Revengeance.
Ask your dad.
Fight.
Ask him. He has one.
He has
definitely has. He has probably at least like one to 3.
They're in a drawer somewhere.
They're somewhere, but
on
he's
a
got
shelf
some.
in his office.
I promise you, he has.
He has at least one because even if he didn't buy it, his friend gave it to him, or
he borrowed it from his friend. And every dad has one of them.
Yep,
at least.
Warner Brothers is hoping that Matt Reeves will get back to work quickly on his Batman Part 2 script. They also need to finish polishing off Minecraft and Superman Legacy. Both of those scripts are apparently ready to go as soon as they're able to shoot.
Minecraft
might actually happen, Sam.
How did Five Nights at Freddy's get a movie before Minecraft?
I don't know. That is kind of crazy that happened.
Those movies.
Five Nights at Freddy's has a story though.
Those movies were originally supposed to come out the same day.
True, at one point. Five Nights at Freddy's has a story. It's weird and complicated and not clear.
It has a story in quotation mark.
Okay, Minecraft has none.
Yeah, Minecraft has no story. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's has a story the same way Kingdom Hearts has a story. Like, yes, it technically exists, but no one knows what it is, so people just kind of ignore it.
Because Five Nights at Freddy's, you have to, like, whittle it down and, like, summarize it into a film. Minecraft, you just got to pull something out of your butt.
You just got to make something up.
You got to make something up out of nothing.
Now, to be fair, that's probably easier to do because, number one, there's no fan expectations. You could make the story can be anything, and no one can really complain. Like, okay, if you make a new Star Wars movie, people are like, "Oh, that's not accurate to the lore.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that
not a
gun
remake
doesn't
of
shoot that
Episode
far."
4 again.
Yeah, so people get upset about that. But like, there's no story at all. You can make anything up.
Yeah.
It has to have
as long as it has like Minecraft things in it.
It has to have Creeper, it has to have Villager, and it has to have Ender Dragon. As long as it has those 3 things.
And Diamond Pickaxe.
As long as it has those things, they're good. It's all they got to worry about.
But yeah, that.
And what's the other one? Superman Legacy?
Yeah.
We already knew that. There was James Gunn was already like, yeah, I finished it in like a week. It's super good.
Universal is hoping for a second draft of Fast X Part 2 be submitted quickly. That sequel is due in theaters in like a little over a year, about a year and a half.
That'll take him 2 minutes to write,
and then 4 minutes to film.
Yeah, they just gotta have Vin Diesel be like, "I'm the coolest man ever."
All right, Vin. Did you memorize your lines?
I killed the Joker.
I don't read the script.
I
improvise. Okay, Vin. That's cool.
When I'm on set, call me Dom Toretto.
Vin, you can't eat cheeseburgers.
Actually, when I'm not on set, also still call me Dom Toretto.
Vin, you're not even in costume.
I said to call me Dom.
Dom wears a different outfit now.
He literally just wears a white tank top always.
Vin, buddy, you gotta be in shape a little bit. He's depressed now. He lost weight. He gained weight.
When did this become beautiful? I'm not gonna pull the clip up.
Vin, that's a wall.
All right. Anyway, what else we got?
So, in terms of television, the main focus is obviously getting all your network shows back up as soon as possible. Try to save some of the network season. Obviously, it'll be incredibly shortened. Probably 10 to 13 episodes for your big dramas.
Rip Abbott Elementary.
It'll be back next year, though. They'll probably crank out a few episodes.
Just a shame. Like, that's the only show that we actually lost.
On network?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the only
Unless you're really invested in the Night Court reboot.
Which no one is. So we only lost Abbott Elementary. That's the only show that we probably lost stuff for.
So ABC wants Grey's Anatomy and Abbott Elementary up and running. Fox wants 911 and 911 Lone Star. Dick Wolf is getting right on his Chicago Law and Order and FBI
Anytime
franchises.
you say his name, you got to say it like that.
Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf.
Sounds like a venereal disease.
I love that guy's name is. I love that there's a person who writes TV shows named Dick Wolf and another guy who writes TV shows whose name is Speed Weed, and they often write TV shows together.
They should become.
That's just amazing. I love that.
They should become the Dick Weed duo.
Dick Weed.
HBO. They just finished shooting House of the Dragon season 2. That's completely ready to go after post-production.
Cool.
Putting all those dragons in.
For that. That's going to be the only show.
But they want season 3, that writer's room, to be up fast so that they can get
I think they announced that they scheduled
years.
a meeting with George R. R. Martin to decide how the show's going to end.
That's cool.
Which is cool. I'm glad that they...
Can he decide how his other book series is going to end
Can he decide how the other thing he's doing will end?
You got to finish it before you die, dude. This is the one thing you got, and then you can croak. My guy, you got to finish this one thing.
I don't think
he's had ample time.
He's never gonna.
He doesn't know what to do.
No, he doesn't know how to end it.
And the ending is always better in the brains of the readers who can now have to make one up.
You know what? I think he does know what he wants the ending to be.
He's worried about the reception.
I think he is struggling to get the story to that point.
Well, I think he knows.
I think he knows what the ending. I think he knows what he wants the ending to be, but he doesn't know how to get the characters and the situations they're in right now to that point.
I think he also knows that whatever he does is going to be ripped apart and examined endlessly and compared to the TV show. And if it's not
hard
a million times better than the TV show one, everyone's going to yell at him for the rest of his life.
I don't think you understand how bad the ending of the TV show actually is. Okay, I rewatched Game of Thrones with one of my friends fairly recently. And when I had watched Game of Thrones the first time, there was like a 2-year gap between me watching seasons 1 through 7 and finishing the show, watching season 8. So like, I didn't really get the ending super well because I kind of forgot most of what was going on. After watching the whole show, beginning to end, the ending I think might be one of the dumbest TV show endings I've ever seen. They took this character that they had been building up the entire show to basically be like the only person who can fix it. And they set it up so that that character just, for absolutely no reason at all, decides to destroy everything that they were doing and do a completely different random other thing at the very end and then die. It was just stupid. It's beyond stupid.
They're trying to get out of there quick so they could go work on their Star Wars movie that they were fired from.
Yeah, they deserve to be fired from that.
That's fine. They're at Netflix now getting paid millions of dollars to
What are
sit
they
on their
even
butts.
doing now?
Nothing. They signed a Netflix contract like 5 years ago, and they've literally produced
what?
nothing. They just like a development deal to produce like more shows.
Just pitch scripts? Is that it?
Yeah, just they gave them like $400 million so that whenever one of their friends handed him a screenplay, they had to give it to Netflix, so Netflix could tell them whether or not it was going to be a show or not.
That's so awesome. I love that Netflix can just do that, like spend money on absolutely just pointless things.
Absolutely nothing. So yeah, House of the Dragon, they're looking at a summer 2024 premiere for that.
Cool. Down with
Means
that.
I'm going to have to binge 8 seasons of Game of Thrones and first season of House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon is totally... You could watch House of the Dragon and be... it's completely unrelated.
And then high-profile series, The White Lotus, Euphoria, and The Last of Us are main priorities for them in terms of getting the next season's writers' rooms up and coming.
What grade are they
going.
in the first season of Euphoria?
So I believe
sophomore year, or
I think they're juniors.
my point is they're going to be 30 in the next.
They
season.
said there's going to be a time jump. They're going to be in like college in the next season.
Yeah, that they had to be because they're 30.
I don't know what they're going to do. They've had like several cast members leave, and then obviously
one
Angus
of them
Cloud passed away. So I don't know what that show's even going to look like when that comes back.
Fortunately for the show, that character actually died like right before the guy died in real life. So they don't have to worry about that, but they got other stuff to worry about.
But yeah, The White Lotus, Euphoria, Last of Us, all of those had been picked up for another season, and they were all about to start writing, and then were shut down like right before. So they're going to want to get those up and going so that there's not a 3-year gap in between seasons. There's only a 2-year gap in between seasons.
Yeah.
Netflix is prioritizing its 2 biggest ongoing series, Stranger Things and Wednesday. Stranger Things had already been writing for a few weeks. Wednesday had just been kind of getting into it. They're going to need way more time to finish those, obviously. Netflix is really pushing those to go as fast as possible because they have a large ensemble cast of people in their mid-20s who they still need to at least be a little bit believable as the high schoolers. Children. The Stranger Things characters are in their freshman year of high school. And the actors are like 25.
No, they're not.
Yes.
They were in their freshman year in the last season.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, so then they're sophomore year now.
But they can't be a time jump.
No, but
at least not that far.
They'll just be really old.
Everyone left the town.
They had a huge.
I can't wait for them to retcon the ending of like the last season, where like the final shot is there's just like that giant gaping hole in Hawkins.
No,
I can't wait for them just to pretend that that's not there.
They all reunite
because they're all looking like off that hill, and there's like that big chasm.
Yeah, that'll still be there.
It'll be way smaller.
It will not be as imminently destructive, but it will
next
still be
season
there.
They'll be like, oh, that was just for a second, and then it closed, and now we have to stop it from reopening. It'll be that.
That's dumb. I think they'll have to just straight up destroy the Upside Down.
But that's not 8 episodes worth of content.
Yes, it definitely is.
So development budgets across television are going to be significantly pared down. Obviously, they have a bunch of shows to continue filming. Picking up a lot of new ones right now is not a very
not likely
good environment for that, I would say,
unless you're The Office.
Yes, we'll get to that later. You brought a news item for that. And this is a broader term for both film and television. It's going to be very difficult and very expensive to find not only crews to shoot everything, but also spaces to shoot it in.
Yeah,
it's going to be there's going to be a mad dash to like scramble for studio space because of the strike. A lot of that was because a lot of the crews who are shooting this stuff and working on it, because the strike, left the field to go work on, like live events, like your like concerts.
Other things that were still happening,
stuff like that, and now they have to like find new people and like scavenge the people who are still there. It's gonna be kind of crazy when these actors' strike ends and this fully comes back to normal.
Yeah.
Projects that were filming but still can't continue because of the strike, the actor strike. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2, Beetlejuice 2.
Not Beetlejuice
That's happening.
2. When did? Oh wait, this is the one that's the sequel to the original one, right?
Yeah, it's got Jenna Ortega's gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Juror Number 2, which is Clint Eastwood's final film. They got to get that going before Clint Eastwood dies. And Deadpool 3 obviously is probably the biggest name there. Want me to read some of these terms of the WGA contract? The WGA MBA, as it is referred to.
The WGMBA.
The WGA MBA.
The WGA MBA.
Yes. So you can find it all on the WGA website. They have the full thing listed and then a summarized version of it. I'm going to read from the summarized version because the full version is several pages and a lot of it is completely illegible legalese that you'd have to get a professional lawyer to decipher for you. But I'm just going to skim through some stuff. So the contract is good from September 25th of 2023 through May 1st of 2026. MBA minimums will increase by certain percentages year over year. That is pretty much a standard of all contracts. There's going to be a slight boost.
Was that not in it before?
No, that wasn't it before.
Okay.
That's every labor union.
Yeah.
That's in every single one of them. Is we get a 3% increase.
Yeah, to keep it consistent with inflation.
There's a slight increase in the health fund, which contributes to health insurance for the writers. Artificial intelligence. This is obviously a big one. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI-generated material will not be considered source material under the MBA, meaning that AI-generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credit or separated rights. So no AI-generated material. A writer can choose to use AI when performing writing services if the company consents and provided that the writer follows applicable company policies, but the company can't require the writer to use AI software while performing writing activities. So they can't. So the writer could choose to use ChatGPT for their script, but they can't have that forced upon them.
Yeah, they can't be forced to use it.
The company must disclose to a writer if any materials given to the writer have been generated by AI or corporate AI-generated material. So you come onto a project that already has a story outline. They have to tell you whether or not the story outline was generated by AI.
Fair enough.
Okay, this one is weird. This is kind of weirdly worded. The WGA reserves the right to assert that exploitation of writers' materials to train AI is prohibited by MBA or other law. Now, this is because they could not agree with the AMPTP that they were not allowed to use AI WGA work to train AI. That was a big thing. And it is not specifically outlawed in the MBA. What the WGA is essentially saying is, when this case inevitably comes up, when a studio is using WGA work to train AI to be able to write scripts, the WGA is saying, when we inevitably sue you, we reserve the right to use the MBA as a basis for our case.
Yeah.
So it's essentially just preparing for the inevitable legal battle in a year and a half.
What confuses me about this specific part is the studios do not own these AI. The most popular ones right now, ChatGPT 4 and Google Bard, are owned by Google and Microsoft, respectively. So
the idea the idea here is that the studios would internally develop their own AI writing services, like in-house.
I would not be worried about them doing that. Disney can barely put together a functioning mobile app. Most of these studios actually can barely put together functioning mobile apps. You think that they can develop large language models like
I think they're essentially just going to rip ChatGPT code, feed it a bunch of old Disney movies, and just be like, this is the Disney Magic Generator.
If OpenAI went open source, yes, that would become an imminent and immediate problem. I don't foresee that happening because Microsoft has, I say Microsoft owns, I think it's like 90% of OpenAI or something like that. Microsoft is in their best interest to not make GPT open source because they want the proprietary magic language god. So they want to keep that. Same obviously for Google Bard. Yeah, I don't necessarily see this being imminently relevant, but it could be.
It will be in the long term.
Maybe if Disney ever learns how to do technology, then maybe it would become a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of their Imagineers has got a GPT-fueled avatar robot
all this essentially
somewhere.
does is like delay this issue for later on.
Yeah, it just kind of kicks it down.
So they're not going to generate AI stuff now. They're probably going to feed some of their scripts into an AI and see what happens later on.
You know at Disneyland how they have that one Nemo thing where the turtle guy talks to you and he's...
Yeah.
You think maybe one day he'll be a ChatGPT?
I wouldn't be surprised
robot?
if he was ChatGPT like next month.
Because right now it's a voice.
Now
actor.
it's a guy, yeah, in like a booth, like responding to the comments.
I don't know if an AI could ever do that.
It can. You know where they have that set up? Is at the Dallas Cowboys building. They have an AI copy of Jerry Jones.
So weird.
Who will answer questions from the audience.
That's so... Is Jerry Jones not there? Can he not just do that?
Well, he's 85 years old. And
he's still
like
responsive. He's not comatose.
He doesn't have the time to
he's
sit there
already
and answer
there.
questions.
He's probably sitting in the booth next to the AI.
He's probably trying to get on a plane to Epstein's Island. Stopping a school from being integrated.
Is that what he does? Is that what he's
There's a photo
for?
of him that circulated like a few months ago of him back in like the 50s in Arkansas protesting the integration of a school.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Cool guy, that Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, he's always on the right side.
He'd rather have a computer version of himself.
That's a joke, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Hide the
All
red
jokes
hat.
over
Hide the red hat in the background.
Oh,
yeah.
It says Nintendo.
It says Nintendo.
It says Nintendo.
Don't yell
Nintendo.
at me.
It's look, those letters are too small for it to say anything else. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Anyway, and then there was some other stuff here. Guaranteed second step work. That was a thing that was negotiated on for a while. They're going to get higher residuals based on streaming numbers. The services will provide internal numbers to the writers that won't be released to the public. They'll only be available to the members of the WGA Guild.
And they definitely won't leak them.
No. They won't leak them to the trades on a regular basis.
No way. That will not happen.
So it's a lot of different percents and increases based on fees and
do that.
and
it
numbers.
Makes it easier for us to make content.
Yeah. It's you can go through it and find it all on the website. I'm not going to read it out here because it's super boring. But basically how the services are going to calculate it is through views based on hours watched divided by runtime. And if it meets certain milestones and if it meets certain percentages of the subscription base watching it, then they'll get certain bonuses.
So they will have performance-based bonuses the same way that
yes.
the executive.
And on top of base residuals.
Yeah.
There's now higher base residuals for streaming.
That's cool. I kind of like that. I think that's an interesting things.
One thing that nobody really expected them to get was minimum employment length, minimum length of employment, and minimum staffing size for writers' rooms.
Minimum length of employment.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So again, different numbers vary on like different episode counts and like how far along a show is, but like there's now like 6 guaranteed writers for like a show before it's greenlit, and then as they add more episodes, they're allowed to add more writers. I think it's like up to 12 writers is the maximum for a room.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they got pretty much everything they wanted. The main dispute, or the main thing that almost collapsed talks over the past week was that the WGA wanted that once a deal was struck, members of the union could refuse to return to work while SAG was on strike and received no consequences for it. That went away. That was something they compromised on. Honestly, I think that's kind of a little bit of a pie in the sky idea.
So if we will stay on strike.
So like if we strike a deal,
it has to stay in place even if we're still on strike with these other guys.
And the writers go back to work. If the writers want to stay on strike until the actors go back to work, they should be allowed to do that with no consequences. That was erased. So if they don't go back to work,
that was never going to happen.
They're going to receive
unless those unions literally merge and become one union, which is possible, but
that would
not
be one very large union.
Then that's probably not going to ever
But yeah,
unless
the
those unions
writer
merge.
strike's over, which means we'll get news back to normal again somewhat. Obviously, we'll get casting news, but we'll get announcements of new shows, returning shows, who's writing what movie. All that will be back very soon.
Very cool, very cool.
We'll have stuff to talk about again.
I can't wait to see what kind of weird like AI written nonsense that they produced in the meantime. I want to see what they did.
Honestly, I want to see what they've been.
I want
to
to see what Frankenstein monstrosities Warner Bros. Was cooking up while this was going on.
We all know they were doing nothing. They took this as like a vacation time. All the CEOs did.
I mean, last time there was a big strike, they still made stuff. It was awful, garbage stuff, but they still made stuff.
I hired a bunch of scabs, and they
made
ran some
Revenge
crap
of the
out.
Fallen. Best
It's
Transformers movie.
They finished that script in like 3 weeks.
And imagine what they could have done if they had ChatGPT back then.
Could have been even worse.
Could have been even cooler.
Anyway, Sam, you want to touch on Ahsoka episode 7?
Let's talk
weekly
about
Ahsoka recap.
Ahsoka. Did you see episode 7?
I did.
Pretty cool.
I liked this episode for the most part. I liked that the characters felt like there was some nice banter. It felt like some real interactions between people.
Yeah.
More than usual, which is just a bunch of like stoic people like proclaiming facts to each other.
I like how this show hasn't really done too much of the Star Wars like, oh well it just works. You know how a lot of times like they do something that's like this could never work, and then it's like it worked.
Yeah.
They do that a lot in Star Wars. I feel like this one they've done it like 1 or 2 times, but not nearly to the same degree as I think we usually see it happen.
This episode was kind of filler in a lot of ways.
It was mostly just building towards whatever the finale is.
Yeah.
This was very much there was a couple really interesting things that happened. We saw Balin, I guess spoilers for episode 7 of Ahsoka. If you haven't seen it, check it out. There was the part where Balin sent Shin Hati to go like do her own thing.
Yeah.
They kind of like split up, which I think is interesting. And that
What's he
raises
up
even
to?
more questions about what his motives are.
I think he wants to do a big time travel, and I think he wants to kill the first, the first Sith in the
No.
or not that specifically. I think he wants to
I don't think he's doing a time travel.
retroactively change something.
I don't think he knows what he wants yet. I think
He says he has like a plan.
No, I think he's being called to something, but I don't think he knows he's being called, but I don't think he knows what it is yet.
I think it's going to be resolved in this show. Well, if he survives, if
Because
the
of
character
real life
survives
things.
this show,
He'll have to be recast.
he'll be recast. Unless like his apprentice just takes over whatever plot points he was supposed to.
But given how this episode ended, I don't think they would do that.
Yeah, they keep implying that or he keeps saying like this is my thing alone.
They've been building up since I argue the first episode that Shin could turn to the light side.
Oh, she's definitely getting a redemption arc.
Which I think is really cool. Because it would be the first time we've seen...
Everyone gets a redemption arc in Star
It would be the
Wars. It's
first
not a
time
new
we've seen
thing.
a character go from the dark side to the light side without like... Yeah, that's really it. Because Anakin went from the light side to the dark side. Technically, he went back, but he didn't do it. He died immediately, so that doesn't really count. Ventress left the dark side, but she didn't really go to the light side. She just kind of like became a bounty hunter.
Kylo Ren.
Again, he like died immediately afterwards. I mean, like actually.
How do you know
long-term-
she's not going to die immediately afterwards?
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that this is the way they go, because it would be the first time where we see a character actually go that way, and we get to see how that plays out in a sort of a long-term scenario.
I can tell you how it would play out is the character becomes boring. You know why? Because no one in Star Wars has ever known how to write a Star Wars character when they're not actively participating in a war.
What about Yoda? He wasn't actively participating in the war in episode 6.
True.
And episode 5, he was a guy.
I don't know. It's this general problem I have with the Star Wars characters. It's like, it feels that they're only ever like on when they're on screen. Like I never feel like we're picking up like during a point in their lives. It always feels like they finished whatever their adventure was.
They were doing nothing.
And then they just sat in a cryo chamber until someone unfroze them for whatever the next show they're in is.
Yeah, except
like
Andor, it didn't feel like
we
that.
never ever we never like see like what does Ahsoka do when she's not like fighting someone or flying a spaceship?
We did get a little bit of that in
Does
this.
she just do lightsaber training all day?
In this one, I'm not saying... Now, in this one, there's not a lot of time between different character events, so I assume that they just were going from one thing to the next thing. What I am thinking of more is like on a like a bigger scale. Like it seems like whenever their main quest ends, they just kind of go into hibernation mode until they're in the next thing. Like Obi-Wan, he was like in hibernation
they
mode
never
for like 20
progress.
years.
Like
But,
they
like,
don't grow. They just stay.
I did like how Ahsoka started though, because we did get sort of little hints and clues as to what people were doing. Like after, like Hera was helping to
Being a
build the New
general.
Republic. Ahsoka and Sabine had a little training arc that didn't work out, and we got to see how that played out. There was we've seen that a little bit in this show where things have been going on.
I was thinking about this while watching, and I was like, why do the Rebels characters, like, whenever they're to get like the like Sabine and Hera and like Ezra and Sabine, like, why does that work? And I was thinking, well, one, it's like the actors are really good and really well cast, and two, I think it's because of the way Rebels as a show was often structured, where there was so much filler that like they were forced to like
they had to have a good
give them
dynamic.
interests outside of like being soldiers. Like Sabine, we know, is like likes art, and that's not like a super detailed character background,
But that's something.
but that's something. Like what does Ahsoka like to do? What are her interests other than being a Jedi and slashing things with lightsabers?
I think she doesn't really have a lot outside of that, but I think for her character specifically, that's the point. And that's what the whole flashback thing was all about, is her whole life she was trained to be a soldier, so when the war ended, she didn't know what to do with herself. I think for Ahsoka specifically, that makes sense for her character, but I do see what you're talking. Like for Luke, I think Luke Skywalker would be a better example.
Yeah.
What does Luke Skywalker
What does
like
he
to
like
do?
to do?
Fly T-16s back home and shoot. What did he shoot? Womp rats with in his T-16. That's what he likes to do. That's the only.
What
thing
does
we know that he
Obi-Wan
likes
do
to
other than like have PTSD and pray all day?
Yeah, Obi-Wan, I think, is probably out of all the Star Wars characters suffers from that problem the most.
And I think it's particularly the Jedis, because whenever they need to cut away from the Jedis doing action, they're always having to like do Jedi training.
I think that's because Jedi, from their inception,
were built
broken.
to be personality-less.
No, well, that's part of it. But when Jedi were introduced to Star Wars, they were introduced as knights, as warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, we came to
They
learn
were monks.
that they were monks. They were they were people of peace, or that's what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So because of that, Star Wars focuses very heavily on, and being Star Wars, it makes sense why, but they focus very much on the war aspect of the Jedi, which kind of leaves the monk part out of, like the real, what I consider the real Jedi part out of it, which they go into that in the books, in the sort of the
But like
expanded
even
universe.
like real life monks, like they do other things than just pray. Like they have jobs and they have interests, right?
They
like
kind of live in the monk temple and do monk things.
Does Obi-Wan like have an instrument he likes to play? Does he like to watch pod racing on the weekend? Like just any of any of this. Does he know his dad? Like just any basic character details.
We
other
know
than he's just
that
a dude.
he maybe has a brother.
That's it.
And
like,
we
don't even know
hang on,
that.
We know that he knows that sand people travel single file to hide their numbers.
But why does he know that? He read in a book
don't
somewhere?
know.
Does he like to read?
Probably.
Does he like to read fiction? Is he like a big history buff? Like, we know nothing about these people. Like, as people.
We know
like,
he's kind of
We
sassy.
know the characters, as in we've like...
Okay, wait, no. We know about his relationship with Duchess Satine. That kind of gives it a little more.
But that was because it was in Clone Wars, and so it was like they had to go into that because we needed Obi-Wan to have a thing.
Yeah, in the movies,
And
their characters are
like,
not as
like. But it's like
out.
in these new shows too. Like we never like take the time to like give them any sort of quirks. Like they're always just like vessels to move the plot forward, and that makes it even worse when there is no plot, because then they have nothing to go on. Like the characters are just so like they're just pawns to like move around. They're never ever characters, except for the Rebels ones, because there's already all that information that's pre-existing.
I think that is a bigger problem with Star Wars, just kind of overall
As a whole.
But I think Ahsoka has done a pretty good job of not falling too deep into that pit. Like with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, which I would argue are the most prevalent new characters. I think they're some of the most interesting characters we've seen.
Baylan Skoll is interesting because he keeps saying vague things that haven't been explained, and so it's interesting, like, what's he talking about?
But we do know a little bit more about him. Like he has a unique perspective on the Jedi Order, where he has sort of a nostalgia for it. But but that's not vague. Like he says what he means.
But like Shin Hati is interesting as in like, what's her deal? And they just don't explain it.
But they will.
There's a difference between like, oh, what made them think that? Like Baylan Skoll is a little bit more like, ooh, what made him think that way? Why is he like that? Shin Hati is like interesting as in like, we don't know basic information about her.
Okay, well, she's like a child right now. Like she's very much like, we know that she's not very experienced in combat. She clearly has not been whatever she is for very long. So we have room to do interesting things with her character. They haven't gone into it yet. I'm sure that her character will be more developed as time goes on. But she's starting off in a very good spot. I like how things are starting off. And like with Thrawn, he's been absolutely great. Watching him just like toy with the main characters is super fun. We don't really know. Morgan, I would argue, is probably the worst
Just
developed of all. And I think in this episode,
she's there to make Thrawn look smarter.
In this episode, her character suffers the most.
Because the easiest way to make smart characters seem smarter is to have everyone around them be really dumb. Yeah. So if she's like, why are you spending all this time on this fight? And he's like, haha, I'm actually diverting their attention while I fiddle
it
my
gives
ship.
Thrawn a chance to explain himself.
That's like simple, like a 5th grader could come up with that plan. But because she is really dumb, Thrawn seems like a strategic genius.
And that's fine. Like,
no, I'm fine with it. That's just like that's
it does a good job. Yeah, it does a good job of making Thrawn seem cool. But we already know Thrawn is super smart, or at least if
they keep telling us Thrawn is really smart.
Well, we see it. We do see it in this. We do see him in this. We see him using the Night Sisters to identify Ahsoka. We see him
he goes,
even before Ahsoka gets there. He's like, "All right, if you see any Purgles, freaking blow them up."
I like how he's viewed as like this military genius. Just because he's the only one who ever like reads about the people he's fighting before he fights them.
Yeah, he's the only general who like does research.
Like, this one guy has been tormenting us for 5 years. Well, where does he live? Oh shoot, we didn't think to look into that.
God dang it. Oh shoot. This is why we keep him around.
Yeah. He's Jerry.
Although one detail that I think is cool that not a lot of people might have caught onto, when he reads Ahsoka's profile and he goes, oh, she was trained by Anakin Skywalker, and he sort of pauses there for a minute.
Thrawn knew who
Thrawn is one of the very, very few characters in all of Star Wars that knows Darth Vader was Anakin. And he was never told that. He is the only character who figured it out.
Him and Anakin did an adventure back before he was Darth Vader, and then they did a second adventure, which was Darth Vader.
Yeah, and that was when Thrawn figured it out. And again, Thrawn is the only character who actually deduced it. Every other character that knew Darth Vader was Anakin was told or sensed it through the Force, which I would argue really count. Which just it adds a little bit to Thrawn's
I thought this was generally pretty all right. Like I liked I think the guy they cast as Ezra, Amanis Fondi, I think his name is. He's really good. He's got that character down.
Yeah, he's right. I
don't know why they gave him the terrible contact lenses, or why they feel the need to give everyone the terrible contact lenses.
It's because the Rebels characters' eyes were weird colors.
It's fine if they're weird, if they're brown.
Honestly, I think with Ezra, his eyes were not nearly as like with Hera. You can see them all the time.
Yeah, I think it's
with Ezra. I didn't really notice it as much.
I just don't know why they did it. Like I don't care if Hera has brown eyes. Like that does not matter to me at all.
Or just like CGI them. Maybe don't do the contact. Maybe that's one place where CGI can be used.
I'm already at the suspension of disbelief point where like I'm believing that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a green alien woman with tentacles for her head. Like her having brown eyes is not like
they
way
added
too far for me.
They've added a new feature to the new macOS where if you do certain like hand gestures while being recorded, it will do emotes. So when you put your hand on the thing like this, it thought you were doing a thumbs up, and a little thumbs up like popped up next to your hand.
Is that going to be in the video?
I don't know. I've never seen it do
so.
that before. I hope it is. But anyway, yeah, the color contact lenses are a bit it is a little weird.
But yeah, this episode's fine.
But honestly, it's not much weirder than seeing Ahsoka with like tentacles on her head. So I can get over it.
I'm interested to see how this ends. Obviously, well, not really. I know how it's going to end. Thrawn's going to get back to the main galaxy. They're going to tease what his big plan is, and then they'll save it for the movie.
I think I called his plan almost.
He's got the zombie army. He's filling his ship with
I
tombs.
think when I gave that little spiel, I pretty much called exactly what was going to happen.
He's got a bunch of witches, and he's stolen a bunch of their
And I
coffins.
called it from like no one was on to my I don't know what happened. I must have reached into the
I think
Force
me
there.
and you are just the only ones who remember that zombie episode of Clone Wars.
Well, that and I called the Night Sister connection right away. Because I was like, well, the map was in a Night Sister temple. Maybe the Night Sisters are from this other galaxy. And then they're like, hey, guess what? The Night Sisters are from this other galaxy.
Dave,
I was like,
you should just let us know. Just send us an email of the whole plot plan.
I mean, we probably already knew, but maybe confirm it.
Just send me the script for the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to read it now so I don't have to watch it later. Anyway, yeah, Ahsoka, fine. We'll talk about the finale next week. And then we'll have a 32-minute break from Star Wars before the next, whatever. Skeleton Crew.
I don't care about Skeleton Crew.
I think it's Skeleton Crew and then Mando season 4 and then the movie.
Skeleton Crew's probably gonna be good.
It probably is.
Because Andor was good, and I didn't care at all about Andor, and then it was really good, and then I started to care about it.
Now the difference is that Skeleton Crew is not written by Tony Gilroy. I think that's the main, but it's gotta.
I mean, they could still be good.
It's gonna be Star Wars Stranger Things, but that's fine.
I don't really care.
Anyway, Sam, me and you both bought a piece of news. I'll do mine first because I know you do not care. I wanted to talk about this, and this is my platform.
A24's in it.
Halloween.
In it to win it.
If you remember, a year ago, a movie called Halloween Ends came out that was supposed to be the finale of Halloween. They're already planning on bringing it back.
But is Jenna Ortega in
no
the next
time
one?
at all? Already working on the next reboot.
How can we get Jenna Ortega in it?
So Malik Akkad's family, the Akkads own the Halloween license. They are shopping the film and TV rights around to different people. The last Halloween trilogy was done by Miramax and Blumhouse. Blumhouse is they don't want to do it anymore. Guess they're feeling they're too good for it, or they've done every single possibly thing they can with this IP, which is true. There's nothing left to do with this at all. But they're shopping around the film and TV rights. Apparently, A24 is leading with bids. A24 is already developing a television series based on Friday the 13th. They're doing a show called Crystal Lake. So I guess to them, this would be a nice pairing. They'd have the Halloween and
they have all the
Friday
guys.
the 13th TV rights at the same time.
They could have them fight. Everyone loves it when they fight.
Jason would win.
No, but they love it when they fight.
Jason is like an immortal zombie, and Michael Myers is just a guy.
But he can also be an immortal zombie.
That's true. The more people he kills, the more powerful he becomes.
Yeah, wait, what if he...
Evil dies tonight.
What if he what if he just keeps killing him over and over and he gets, he keeps getting
He's just
stronger?
got Jason trapped, he just keeps stabbing him?
Yeah, he just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
I don't know, someone should do that in, like, a comic book. And he becomes, like, buff. Like, he becomes giant. Like, as he stabs him, he becomes, like, bigger like Godzilla. And he's just, like, walking around just smashing buildings. This is a good idea. This should be the next movie.
Definitely. That makes perfect sense.
No, Halloween just needs to stop. It was just diminishing returns all the way down from the 2018 movie onwards.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. It
was a great idea to do it once, and then they did it 11 more times.
That cast of characters is not enough to carry a long-running story.
There's the original one, which is good, and then the 2018 one is like, okay, if you're gonna do this, this is a pretty good way to do it. Like, this is fine. Halloween Ends, they attempted to do something interesting. I didn't think it worked all the way, and a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't the same thing again. And then everything else they've ever done has essentially just been a copy paste of the original film.
Yeah.
So I'd love for them to go back to doing an anthology like they did with the third movie, where they just do different movies every year, but they're all like set at Halloween. That would be great. But I know what they're going to do is make a movie called Halloween Returns. That's a sequel to Halloween 4. And he'll walk around the neighborhood and stab a bunch of people with a knife.
Why would it be a sequel to Halloween 4?
Because they've already done they've already done direct sequels to Halloween's 1 and 2. And Halloween 3 is a standalone.
3?
Halloween 3 is the standalone.
Make a sequel to 3 then.
They can't.
Why not?
Because that doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Do whatever the guy was in that movie.
No, they can't, because he's not Michael Myers.
Just have him be Michael Myers.
Have the supernatural power of Stonehenge that melts children's faces over the television be Michael Myers?
Yeah, that's how he turned evil.
Sure,
His
not?
daughter had her face
That's
melted.
what they're going to do. It'll be called Halloween
And
Returns.
it made him crazy. And so he put on his daughter's face as
It'll
a
be
mask. And that's why he wears this stupid mask.
It'll be the 14th Halloween film. This next one.
Yeah, we need...
Or they'll do a TV show
Yeah.
where they'll take that paper-thin premise and stretch it out over 8-hour-long episodes.
I would really love that.
Anyway,
I hope so much
Sam,
for the 8-hour
Speaking of
Halloween.
overextending a paper-thin premise, paper,
The
Office. So
is...
there was an article in Puck News like a week ago that Greg Daniels was going to return to showrun an Office reboot.
I think it was confirmed.
It's definitely... This was always going to happen.
Yeah, but I always thought it was going to be like a continuing the story, like
It is.
season 10.
It is.
No, it's a reboot.
It's a reboot because they're bringing it. They're not going to remake it. It's going to be a
Why not remake it? You can make way more if you just remake
because everyone
it.
would hate it.
Everyone's going to hate it anyway.
No, okay. Couple things. One, this was always going to happen. Everyone's saying, why are you doing this? Google Netflix viewership ratings for 2019.
The Office isn't on there anymore.
For 2019. The Office is like way over here, and then everything else is just like all the way down. The Office was like insanely popular on Netflix, and ever since that, they were always going to do this.
Yeah, but it's not on Netflix anymore.
2, doesn't matter.
Yes,
it was
does.
popular at one point, so let's do it again.
No, but the reason it was popular was because it was on Netflix.
Okay, but they don't understand that. Because if they did understand that, they wouldn't have taken it off Netflix. 2, Steve Carell and John Krasinski are not coming back. They are not going to do this.
Okay, then don't do it.
You're going to get a cast of the washed up everyone else in the cast who has just been spending the last 10 years talking about The Office on their podcast.
At least the Office ladies will have a good 12 more podcast episodes of content. Have they got to the point yet where they're just like recycling the same episodes for content?
No, I think they're almost at the very end, and then I think they're going to try to transition into like talking about other things in a desperate attempt to like
keep themselves relevant on their podcast.
Mm-hmm. But you'll get a cast of like Stanley and Phyllis and Angela. Like they'll all be back. Rainn Wilson will probably come back. He's got nothing else to do.
Who plays Andy?
Pam is gonna come back. Jim probably won't come back. I'm interested to see how they work away around that.
He'll cameo in an
He'll have a
episode.
special guest appearance in like the first episode.
There's no way he doesn't at least cameo.
Yeah, he'll have a special guest appearance in like the first episode.
Steve Carell, I don't think
Carell
would
is
come
not
back
going to show
because
up
his character was already well out of the show.
Because he doesn't want to do it. John Krasinski, I think, is like I like those people, but like he's way too busy doing other things to be involved with
that's
this.
how he was for like the last like season,
Yeah.
2 seasons of the show anyway.
But and then the third thing is this will be released exclusively on Peacock, and it'll be their most watched thing they've ever had.
And it'll still have a fourth of the viewership.
And everyone will watch the premiere and go, "That wasn't very good. Why did they do this?" And then the next day, it'll be in an article in Variety that Peacock had 10 million new signups.
The biggest drop off of all time.
Had 10 million new signups that day to watch The Office reboot.
Yep, and then a month from then it'll be, oh wow, Peacock had the greatest turnover rate of any streaming service of all time.
And then it'll get canceled after 2 seasons and deleted forever. That's what we're looking at here, guys.
That's what happens to everything.
As is the cycle. Anyway, that's everything, Sam.
Remember
it was
when,
only like an hour and 45 minutes this
remember
time.
when Balin's skull goes, it happens again, again.
Okay, I relate to his
That's how
he's
I
like
feel.
me. He's
just like me
he's
for
just
real.
been watching Star Wars and has been realizing they've been doing the same storyline.
Well, yeah, that's what the Force is.
That's a really
Have you not figured that out yet?
that the Force is a
The
cheap
Force is
writing
the
excuse
Force
to
is
recycle the same storyline every
The
20
Force
years?
is the audience. The audience demands more Star Wars, so the Force must make more Star Wars happen.
He should try to kill the Force.
I think that's might be what he's trying to do.
No, he's gonna try to like.
Because there was a.
He's gonna try. His plan is gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get the Republic and the Sith to destroy each other, and then bring about my new Gray Jedi Order.
There was a character in the expanded universe before who also worked with Thrawn, whose goal was to destroy the Force and the endless cycle of light and dark side battling that was going on. I think that they may be working some of that into his character. I don't know yet, again, because his motives are still unclear, I think, even to him. So we have yet to see what's going on with that, but it's possible.
All right. Well, that's this week's episode. We'll be back next week to talk about The Creator and then the Ahsoka Season 8 finale. We'll cover whatever news comes out of this Return of the Writers. I literally just checked Twitter. SAG.
Anything happened while we were recording?
SAG is going to meet with the AMPTP on Monday, so maybe there could be news on a SAG.
Maybe there will be
more
strike
stuff ending next week. It probably won't be over next week, but we might be close to an ending.
Oh, there's the GOP debates going on.
It's true. The second one.
Burgum.
Doug Burgum made it to the second debate.
Burgumentum, baby.
Burgum boys.
The Burgumentum is real.
All right. That's it, everybody.
Have a good time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I gotta poop.